Guys, today we're prepping our moringa trees for the growing season, and moringa, in case you didn't know, is the most nutritious terrestrial growing plant on the planet. So it has more vitamin C than oranges, more iron than spinach. It has like crazy amount of protein, omegas, amino acids. You just really need to be growing this tree in your yard. So if you don't trim these trees, they just grow really stringy and long and tall, and they don't yield as much of the actual useful foliage. So that's why we're clipping this tree today. So I kind of like to start with the shorter branches. That's just what I like to do, but I like to start and clip a foot or two of the branch. So because these trees grow so tall and skinny and they don't yield as much of the useful leaves, if you don't prune them, you want to prune them. So that makes them kind of branch off and have more leaves that you can actually use. But so you just go around and you want to clip like a foot and a half or 2 feet off or so. So this moringa tree here is about 2 years old, and you'll notice how tall it is already. They're a very fast growing tree. But like I said, you want to remember to not just let it grow as tall as it can get, because that's not very useful to you. You want to clip it at least once, probably a couple times a year. So that way it keeps splitting off and branching off and giving you more leaves that are useful for you. All right, so this is the big harvest from only 4 trees, which took about 5 minutes to harvest. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about the moringa seeds and planting the moringa. One way to propagate moringa trees is to take a cutting and stick it in the ground, and just make sure you keep it watered for the first month or so, and it'll just grow. It'll grow roots and then it'll start to grow. But actually the better way to grow a better producing tree is by planting moringa seeds. And these are the seeds. When the moringa flowers, those flowers, when they're pollinated, by the way, bees love those flowers and they smell like honey. But when the flowers are pollinated, they produce a long like pod, and it's full of these seeds. And you let the pod dry out on the tree, and then you take it off and you can crack the pod open, and it'll be full of these seeds. It's really easy to plant moringa seeds. You just make sure you have good soil that'll hold moisture. We'd like to use peat moss to mix in with just regular dirt, so it holds that moisture. And so when they're sprouting, they get consistent moisture to feed from. When they get older, moringa trees are actually pretty drought tolerant, but you want to give them more love and they'll return the favor. So all you really have to do is you just push the seeds into the soil about 2 to 3 inches, and then you just keep it watered until they sprout, and then you keep them watered still for a while until they get established. But what we're doing here, instead of planting a tree in the ground, is we're planting this whole garden bed out with moringa. And what you can actually do if you want a more intensive harvesting of moringa is to plant a garden bed out and then keep the moringa cut short. So you just keep harvesting leaves and they keep growing back, and you keep harvesting them. And it's more like it kind of grows more like a bush that way instead of a tree. So one of the many uses of this tree is also using its seeds for water purification. If you have unclean water, you can crush up these seeds and add it into, like, say, a bucket of the unclean water. And because of the antibacterial properties of the seeds, it'll actually disinfect the water. And they do that around the world, so it's pretty interesting. We're about to feed our chickens the moringa that we harvested. And I just wanted to show you guys these little moringa trees that we've planted right next to our chicken coop so we can feed them once these get bigger. But we'd actually planted these from seeds here, and they're doing pretty well. So the chickens are excited to eat their moringa. But we hope that we've inspired and encouraged you guys to grow this miracle tree, this awesome tree. And if you have any questions about it, just put it in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you feel led to do that. And we'll see you next time.